The Other Side is taking a 1-week break. We're back Friday, October 4 with new content. Until then, enjoy this clip. When it comes to meddling government bureaucrats trying to control us by using the excuse that they're keeping us safe, it doesn't come much more meddly than the Queen of Censorship, the head of Australia's highly unnecessary E-Safety Commission, Julie Inman Grant. The woman dubbed E-Karen after her draconian overreach in attempting to impose a global, not national, but global ban on a rather important video that grown-up adult Australians might have needed to see so they could be adults and make their own minds up about the threats to our society. It was a video of a violent attack on a Sydney bishop. It wasn't pleasant, but it wasn't too graphic. It wasn't so bad that it needed to be censored. And it became very clear very quickly that the E-Safety Office has zero interest whatsoever in protecting free speech or your right to know and see things that the government doesn't want you to know or see. And that is simply not okay. That is an overreach. The E-Safety Commission was originally set up as the Children's E-Safety Commission to protect kids online. But now under Labor, it's morphed into a censorship body for adults that nobody wants. Julie Inman Grant had to abandon her case against Elon Musk and X in the federal court this week. But she's not giving in. She wants to fight via another channel, the Administrative Appeals Tribunal, the AAT, as she explained to an overly sympathetic ABC News this week.
After considering multiple litigations, the prudent use of public funds, and the phalanx of lawyers that X Corp has lined up in the federal court, we thought it made the most sense to have an independent test of a merits review through the AAT of why we issued the Class 1 notice.
An independent test of a merits review. I love all this bureaucratic speech. It's just blah, 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 blah. Absolutely means nothing. Translation, we knew we were going to lose in the federal court, so we've changed tack. Not content that her agency's threats to impose obscene $750,000 a day fines on tech companies, not content that that isn't working, Inman Grant is now pushing for, quote, business disruption powers. She wants the power to restrict the ability of X or any company to get advertising revenue as yet another punishment that she can wield, as if she doesn't have enough already with $750,000 a day fines. But she claims that despite all of that power that she wields and she has vested in her, and she talks about it as being I am the commission, I am a statutory authority, she said once. She, despite all that power, apparently is the victim here. And that Elon Musk, by standing up to her, is the bully here. Okay.
I will not be cowed by those kinds of threats. I'm sure more will come. But I'm here to do the right thing, to keep Australians safe online, to use the powers that I have, and in fact, test the powers that I have.
Yes, that's what we're worried about, Julie. You and your powers and trying to keep us safe. A lot of us would really rather you didn't. But there's worse to come, with Albo considering even more laws to restrict online content.
It's a relief to know that the Online Safety Act review has been brought forward. These will ultimately be questions for government about what kind of enforcement powers they want to give us, but this is really an important test case.
Yep. Yeah, it's such a relief. Such a relief that the government review has been brought forward. Oh, I'm so relieved by that. So are the smart boffins at the Institute of Public Affairs, by the way, who've done a little research into how online fact checkers and censors are going in terms of their ability to respect free speech and diversity of political opinions, and not to resort to excessive censorship when they do their little fact checks and keeping us safe. The IPA has this week called for the Albanese government's new misinformation and disinformation laws to be scrapped permanently. Here's John Story, the director of the IPA's Legal Rights Program.
Under these proposed new laws, social media companies must censor misinformation to the satisfaction of a government agency or face huge fines. A secret letter from the Communications Minister to the Prime Minister has revealed that fact-checking organisations will enforce the government's new censorship rules. This will give fact-checkers enormous power in determining what mainstream Australians will be allowed to say online. The IPA has analysed 970 fact-checking investigations dating back to January 2019. The research shows that Australia's main fact-checkers are consistently biased and disproportionately target critics of government policy and right-of-centre views. The research found that when the fact-checkers investigated comments made by Australian politicians, 65% of the time their verdicts favoured the political left. This is a huge 2-to-1 disparity.
Surprise! Who would have seen that coming? But it gets even better.
We also analysed how the fact-checkers approach policy debates like the responses to the COVID-19 pandemic and climate change policy. An overwhelming 94% of the fact-checking investigations about COVID-19 targeted critics of the official response to the pandemic. In the case of climate change, 81% of fact-checking investigations target skeptics of the climate change agenda. RMIT Fact Lab has never fact-checked a single claim made by an advocate of COVID-19 or climate change policy. Not a single one.
RMIT Fact Lab is just to be dismissed, right? It's just nonsense. 94% of the fact checkers on COVID-19 targeted critics of the government, and 81% of fact checkers targeted critics of the official climate change narrative. And that, folks, is all you need to know about why we must never allow the government to do its own censoring. Why free speech is such a fundamental principle of a liberal democracy. And that means false speech, offensive speech, and dangerous speech will sometimes have to be allowed to happen. Hopefully the light of truth and public ridicule will most often deal with those issues. But we do not need to empower government overlords with censorship powers, because they will not restrain themselves, as we've just seen. And they will inevitably abuse that power to silence critics.
A key principle of the International Fact-Checking Network, the private fact-checking accreditation body, is that signatories commit to non-partisanship and fairness, and to not concentrate their fact-checking unduly on any one side. Our research proves that this is clearly not the case in Australia. Rather, the fact-checkers are activist organisations pushing their own political agendas. If these organisations are empowered to define what constitutes misinformation, they will only censor critics of official government policies and the centre-right. The government's proposed misinformation and disinformation laws are the single biggest attack on freedom of speech in Australia's peacetime history and have no place in a liberal democracy like Australia.
Hear, hear. That's the IPA's Director of Law and Policy, John Story. And the IPA has been doing some fantastic work on this, so do jump on their website, the Institute of Public Affairs, if you want to find out more. We'll be keeping a close eye on this one for you too. Private internet access is terrific. With all the big government clampdown on online speech lately, you are taking a big risk if you don't have a VPN. That's a virtual private network. And it blocks spying eyes in big government or big corporate from seeing your IP address and hacking into your data. Now, it's super easy and cheap to set it up. It's not technical. Even I could do it. And even if you already have a VPN, you should consider switching to these guys, because since I have had zero reduction in my internet speeds, which was a bit of a problem with the one I was using before. And I don't even have to think about this one. It's just on automatically whenever I turn on my computer. And even better news is that the other side has secured a special deal for you, which will get you set up for 83% off the usual price and with 4 months free. And get this, that brings the price down to less than $3 a month. It is absolutely amazing. So jump on it now, sign up to our special deal, and help support us by supporting our sponsors. piavpn.com/otherside. piavpn.com/otherside. If you like that clip, there's more where that came from in our full show, The Other Side. You can watch it right here, the latest episode. And please subscribe to our channel by pressing the subscribe button right here or down here. And remember to click that notification bell too. It all helps. Join us and become part of The Other Side.